What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. I was sitting around and I asked myself a very simple question. And that question is the 2019-2020 NBA draft class quite possibly the worst draft class in the last couple of years? Now, look, we all know what's going on, right? Ja playing gangster on Instagram. He's in deep trouble. We're expecting an announcement from the commissioner here on what his punishment's going to be, and ultimately, how the rest of his career is going to pan out. Nobody knows. It's kind of in the commissioner's hands at the moment. If you're not familiar with the story, he's had several issues, not just the two that were documented on Instagram, but he's had a handful of issues with, gun violence and kind of hanging around the wrong people and getting into some situations that somebody at his level should not be getting into. And then most recently, this issue coming out with Zion, where he apparently enjoys the company of professionals. We'll leave it at that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google it. Listen, the kid spends his money well. Lil Wayne once said, "It ain't tricking if you got it." So he is from New Orleans too, or he's in New Orleans. I don't think he's from New Orleans, but he's in New Orleans. Anyway, a lot of controversy mixed up with this 2019-2020 class. So it got me to thinking. I was like, man, how bad has this gotten? And is it the worst class in terms of values and all that stuff? Now, obviously, we know that the 2019-2020 class was what came out during the pandemic, where everybody was getting those pandemic checks and people were just buying and buying and buying cards left and right. Created a huge buzz, a huge hype. A lot of FOMO. There was a lot of buying. Prices were through the roof. It was insane. So we're not going to necessarily talk about that. I kind of just want to look at the last couple of years, or the last year of pricing. So I got to kind of looking at a few things, right? So let's jump into it. So if I'm looking at Card Hedge, by the way, my favorite part of the Card Hedge tool is the compare piece of it, where you can actually compare a handful of cards. So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm starting off with the 2018 class. Now, I kind of got back into the mix around late 2017, early 2018. And so that's kind of where my head is, right? Is right around that time. Anything before that, I kind of wasn't collecting and wasn't really in the mix. So I wasn't really chasing a whole lot. But if we take it from that point forward, so just looking at the 2018-2019 class. First round pick, DeAndre. Second round pick, Marvin Bagley. Then Luka. And then I think it was Jaren Jackson after that. But I kind of wanted to throw Trae Young in the mix on this one, because he's been kind of an interesting situation the last couple of years. Not really getting a whole lot. There was a lot of buzz around Trae Young. Now, obviously, if you know the story, I think Atlanta picked Luka first, and then they swapped for Trae Young afterwards with Dallas. So Dallas didn't originally draft Luka, the Hawks did, and then same thing with Trae Young. So it's kind of funky, kind of out of order. But then again, it was 3 and 4, so 3 and 5, so it didn't really matter. Jaren Jackson was in the middle of that. But if we're looking at prices just over the last year, 2018 class. Now, there's a bunch of other guys in here, but I'm only looking at the top 4 picks in the draft class. Pretty consistent in terms of value over the last year. I think a lot of people kind of understand where Luka is. We kind of understand where Trae Young is, where Marvin Bagley is, and DeAndre Ayton is in terms of who they are as players, what their achievements could possibly be. And I think a lot of the hobby in general has kind of already established what their ceiling is going to be in terms of value. So I think that's kind of why we're seeing like pretty even in terms of pricing, right? I mean, up and down, and obviously right now Luka's on a down. It is gonna come up on the off season. They didn't, do really a whole lot postseason wise. It's just kind of the way things went, right? But if we're looking at strictly pricing, I mean, I won't look at Luka for a second, just because Luka's prices are obviously really high. But if you look at just Trae Young, Marvin Bagley, DeAndre Ayton, they're at about, Trae Young was about the $100 mark, and he's still kind of hovering. Now, this is base Prism PSA 10 is what I'm looking at. They tend to hover right around the same price. Trae Young went from about the $100 mark. Well, actually, about cut in half, roughly, is what it ends up being. Marvin Bagley's at $10, and DeAndre Ayton's at $11, where they were at $25, $12, and $100. So, yeah, price is actually kind of cut in half. Now I'm thinking about it. I guess I didn't really see that because of the scale of things. But Luka, at the beginning, a year ago to date, started off around 320, and then now he's about 250. So, and that's for a PSA 10. So, a lot of ups and downs on Luka. Got all the way up to 400, 400, and then this is kind of where it started to tank off. So this is right around February is when prices really started to kind of take a dive down. Got all the way down to 260, and then now it's kind of hovering around that 250 mark. So 2018 draft class, I mean, pretty good players, but not really much going on there. 2019, however, this is where it gets interesting, because this is Zion, this is Ja, this is RJ Barrett, and DeAndre Hunter. Again, these are all the prices for their Prism base PSA 10, and obviously we can see what's going on here. So a year ago, Zion was selling for $184, Ja was selling for $170, RJ Barrett was $25, and DeAndre Hunter was $10. And then now Zion's $80, Ja is $50, RJ is $8, and DeAndre Hunter is $10. DeAndre Hunter's is he still $10? Yeah, he's back to $10, I guess. I think actually DeAndre Hunter got traded to the Rockets, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he did. Anyway, so big dump, right, from for Zion and Ja. I mean, obviously, with everything that they got going on, it's kind of a funky situation. But this one, you can kind of see a little bit more of the trend downward as we're going through, and just controversy after controversy. And then the other thing too is Zion really hasn't been playing a whole lot. I mean, he's just not out there. He's not playing. So there's nothing really to get excited about. There's no buzz around him at all. There is now. There's all kinds of stuff going on with him. But it's interesting because, like, if you look at 2018, there really wasn't that huge big of a drop off until, and this is all looking at right around February as well. It's kind of where things started to really go for worse. And then it doesn't help that, Ja's doing his thing. So this is 2020. Again, same situation. Prism base PSA 10. And this is, again, looking at a year's worth of data. So Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, LaMelo, and Patrick Williams. So LaMelo, again, was kind of the chase for the year. Anthony Edwards, I think, is going to ultimately end up being a better player. They're saying that, I don't remember if it was LaMelo or if it was his brother, Lonzo, that they're saying there's just no way he's going to come back from his injury because of the shoe he was wearing or something like that. I don't know. That big baller brand. At any rate. But they started off a year ago. Anthony Edwards was $182. James Wiseman was $64. LaMelo's were $200. And Patrick Williams was $50. And now we're looking at Anthony Edwards still at about $90. James Wiseman $15. LaMelo $50. And Patrick Williams can't even get a $10 spot for his PSA 10 at the moment. So that's definitely some serious drops. If anything, what this should tell you is that you probably shouldn't rush out to buy rookie cards just give them some time, you know? And then finally, this is 2021. My Rockets picked up Jalen Green as the second round pick. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, and Scotty Barnes. A lot of hype around Cade Cunningham. Again, first round draft pick. Everybody starts off at the top here. $230 for Cade, $140 for Jalen. Evan Mobley wasn't even. Yeah, Evan Mobley about $100, and then Scotty at $162. This is interesting because these all started off really high, and then now $50, $37, $38, $30. I mean, we gotta stop gambling on these young guys. Gotta stop gambling on these young guys, because that is a lot of hype. If you were prospecting, strictly prospecting on any one of these players, there is not a situation or a time in the last year where you could have made money. The idea of buying these guys and prospecting, I would say, is over. You can argue a little bit here. So what was this? James Wiseman, LaMelo, a little bit of a bump here in March, but still, you're not making money. Same thing here. 2019, if you bought cards a year ago looking to make money, you're not making money. Now, I'm picking up Jaws now because they're bottom dollar dirt cheap. I think it's a cool card. So 2018 is a little bit more. I wish I could, you know what I want to do? I want to look at, let's just look at Trae Young. Look at his fall from grace. I mean, I've been watching, there's a bunch of guys on, TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that doing videos about, the percentage of loss on some of these cards, which is absolutely insane. So if we look at, man, look at that. At peak, $450, $800 for his PSA 10 base. Now can be had for $30. And you know what? I'd buy one at $30. I would definitely buy one at $30. Just because I think holistically, Trae Young, his number one issue is turnovers, which, for somebody that's running point, not really the best. If he can get that under control and he gets traded to another team, I think that could be good for him. Let's look at Zion. And again, guys, if you want to kind of follow along and do what I'm doing here, which is pretty interesting, links in the description for Card Hedge. You can also download the app. That's also available. I know I'm saying that like 20 minutes into the video, but 2020, his base was going for $800. It got all the way up to almost $1,000, and then now you can get it for $80. $80. I got mine for, what did I pay for mine? I think I paid $150 live and at 5. So let me see, how long ago was that? Not too long ago. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. Just a funky little thing that it got into my head, and I was like, I want to check this out. And then I thought to myself, well, let me check it out. Let me record a video all at the same time. As far as money lost, yes. 2018 and the last year, 2019, 2020 has been the worst draft class if you invested a year ago in any of those players. We'll see. We'll see how they pan out. We're in 2023. Some of these players from the 2017 and 2018 draft class are really starting to kind of fall into their own, starting to get some deep playoff runs and stuff like that with, the Celtics and the Denver and the Lakers and all that stuff. I mean, like it takes them a while to develop, right? And I know the name of the game is to get in early, buy low, prospect, and all that other stuff, but I just don't think that basketball is cut out for that, really, in my opinion. But who knows? Who knows what the future will hold? So if we follow the same pattern, 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, so 5 years from now, so probably right around the 2024, 2025 season is kind of the pattern of when the 2019, 2020 draft class should start emerging, if they're going to pan out, right? So we'll see how that goes. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys hanging with me while I kind of go down these little rabbit holes and answer these little funky questions that if I don't do it, they'll burn a hole in my head. So, links are in the description if you guys want to download Card Hedge. You can also find it on the app wherever, Google or iOS. Just look for Card Hedge price tool. And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Love y'all. Peace.